Hey, how y'all doing out there? I'm back with you with another video. Today I want to talk about my favorite Note devices. Now, I've had a lot of Note devices. I've had the Note 3. I don't have that now, of course, and I got the Note 4, the Note 9, and the Note 10 Plus. But I've had the Note 4, the Note 3. Of course, I got the Note 4. I've had the Note 5, the Note 7, the Note 8. But the only one that I don't have, the only couple, is the Note 1, the Note 2. I don't have the Note 8 right now, and I don't have the Note 20 Ultra. But all the other Notes, I either have them or I've had them. So this is just a quick video just to talk about my all-time favorite Note devices. Now, to me, and this is just based on my opinion, I really believe the Note device is the most popular Android device on the market. I really believe that. Now, I could be wrong, but I just really believe that. Because I'll say just for my channel alone, the Note 9 and the Note 10 Plus are the most viewed devices on my channel. Each of these devices, I have over 13,000 views on both of these devices alone. So that should tell you something. Very, very popular devices. Now, surprising to me, and I know a device is just a device no matter what the sex is, but I even see women with Note devices, which I normally don't expect. Most times I see women with iPhones, for the most part. But, some women I see with Notes too, and not little Notes, like the big boy Notes. And it just surprised me because I figure more men would be into Note devices. That's just what I assumed, but I was wrong. So the Note device is a very, very popular device. It's my favorite Android device by far, no question about it, even though there are other Android devices that are really great. But to me, nothing in the Android arena is better than the Note to me. Now, there's some devices that do more things or even better things than Note, but I'm still a Note guy. That's just who I am. So just real quick, let me just go over my 3 all-time favorite Note devices. Starting off with the Note 4. Now, I remember when this came out, I had the Note 3 and the Note 4 came out. I was very excited about it. And I couldn't wait to get my hands on it because it's even bigger, at 5.7 inches. Now, this came out in 2014. You got your one camera on the back. And I fell in love with this phone immediately. And the first thing I fell in love with is the display. The display on this thing is so beautiful. Excuse me. Talking 2014, and you got a Quad HD display. Samsung has always known how to do it when it comes to displays. Very, very beautiful. So you get this 5.7-inch Quad HD Super AMOLED display. Just absolutely gorgeous. Gorilla Glass 4. You got the removable battery. Sorry about this. This case changed the color of this, made it look bad. So pardon me with that. But this phone is old. I've had it for a long time. All right. See, this is what made this phone real popular too. You could take the case, you could take the back plate off, put in a new battery if the battery went bad. You add in the SD card. That was really cool. Now, this is usually not this color just because this case has been on here so long it changed the back plating of the device. But that was a big deal, back then. And I used to brag all the time to people that had the iPhone that I could take my battery out and replace it, and they couldn't replace their battery. When their battery started to go bad, they had to get rid of their phone or have the battery replaced. And I was always bragging about how I didn't have to do that. So I love that. You got 32 gigs of internal storage, which was a lot back then. I didn't need that much. Snapdragon 805, expandable memory, which I talked about, but you could expand it up to 128 gigs, which was a lot of gigage at that time. That was more than enough for me. I was cool with that. You had the fingerprint sensor built into the home button down here. All you do, you turn the screen on, then you just swipe down. Now, I didn't have that many issues with it. I know a lot of people said they didn't like that. They didn't like having to swipe down. They wanted to just rest their finger on it, which I believe they did that with the Note 5. I think they addressed it where you could just rest your thumb on the home button, it would come on. But I didn't have that much of an issue with swiping down. Sometimes, but not that often. Of course, you had the IR blaster, which I loved because you can control your TV and things like that. I love that. This was the last phone that Samsung made that had the IR blaster, but they removed it. You had a headphone jack, but it was up at the top at the time. You got NFC. The only thing I hate about the speaker is that they put the speaker on the back, which was a bad idea. With the Note 3, the speaker was at the bottom. So I don't know what they were thinking to put the speaker on the back. And it was very, very low quality. Didn't sound very good. Didn't get very loud, which was unfortunate. Of course, you had your air gestures. You had that. I didn't use those much. You had a 3,220 milliamp battery. Now, as far as the battery with this phone, when I first got this phone, this battery used to last me 2 days easily, even with super heavy usage. It was just an absolute monster when it came to battery life. But as soon as I got Android Lollipop, it destroyed the battery life, just destroyed it. I would barely get through a day, honestly. I'd have to charge this phone twice a day. But before the Android Lollipop update, when we was on KitKat, I had no issues. 2 days easily. So that Android update destroyed the battery life on this phone. And of course, unfortunately, you had lag with this phone eventually because of TouchWiz. And it ended up getting worse and worse as time went on. And with the cameras, you got 116 megapixel standard lens on the back with optical image stabilization. You got your heart rate monitor back there. Excuse me, which I used a lot. And with the cameras, now even back then, think about this. Even back then, this camera back here shot at 4K at 30 frames per second and 1080p at 30 and 60 frames per second. And also the front camera shot at 4K at 30 frames and per second and 1080p at 30 and 60. 2014. This device was well ahead of its time. I'm telling y'all, it really was. Now, just real quick, when I was going into the camera, check out this. When you go into mode, look at all these modes you got. Auto, you got rear cam selfie, selective focus, panorama, slow motion, fast motion, manage modes, download. I mean, it was just so cool. And then I believe it was something else I hit. Okay, you got the settings here. And what was I messing with up here? I think it was this. Okay, now look at all of this right here. Look at this. You got exposure value, ISO, white balance, metering modes. You got HDR, which you want to use it or not, or automatically tap to take pictures, video size, video stabilization, location tag, storage location, grid lines, voice control, meaning you can tell the camera when to start recording, shutter sound, the volume keys, review pictures, and recent settings. Like, seriously, this was 2014, and this device already had pro features on it, pro video features. Like, that's incredible. So I love that. And it was something else, I believe. Let me see, what it was. It here? It was something else I thought I saw, but I can't remember how to do it. Wait a minute, let me look at mode again. It was some way where you could basically record something, but also see yourself recording at the same time, like they had, like it's something they put on the cameras today. But you could do that back with this camera back in 2014. So this was a device that was well ahead of its time, big time. It really was. And with the S Pen, you had the S Pen down here. Now, you didn't push in to let the S Pen out. All you did was use your finger and just pull it out. The thing now, you see how it's different now, it's rounded. Now it comes straight down. But this pen here was so much, excuse me. And of course I have to drop the thing, but I'm not editing that out. All right. So with this pen, you can see how different it looked. It had the little silver, thing on top, but it was a bigger, thicker, more sturdier S Pen than the ones that's in 9 and the 10 Plus. So this one was very, very sturdy. It wasn't like you could just easily snap it in half, even though I could, but it was just more sturdy. You didn't feel, like you was going to break it if you grabbed it and started writing with it. It was very sturdy. I don't know why they got away from this design, because they should have stuck with how thick and how sturdy this was. They really should have kept it. I really like this S Pen the most, like my favorite, because it was very, very sturdy. And there was no putting it in backwards and all that, which I think you had with the Note 5. So you just slid it back in there, you was good. But this was, man, I love this device so bad. I mean, so much. But when that Lollipop update came and it destroyed the battery life, it really made it. I mean, I still love the phone, but man, it was difficult. It was really hard because before that it was 2 days, and I loved this phone. I mean, this phone, it was just like I said again, it was so well ahead of its time. And Samsung, I think they would, they were definitely headed in the right direction with this device. So that was my first favorite Note. I didn't think they would ever make a Note as good as the Note 4. And the Note 5 was cool, but it just wasn't. I still never loved the Note 5 as much as I loved the Note 4. I just didn't. So now you have the Note 9. Now this bad boy, a lot of people love this phone. And a lot of people believe this is still Samsung's best Note they ever made. They just believe that. And I'm not going to argue with them. Now, I disagree. I believe it's their most complete Note, but not their best Note. Now, what I mean by that, this had everything except the wide-angle lens and no IR blaster. So those are the only two things I'm missing. No IR blaster, no wide-angle lens. But other than that, this device had it all. Like, really had it all. This was like the pinnacle of Note phones. It really was. And to some people it still is, but not the best. Now, I think the Note 10 Plus so far for me is the best Note, just based on performance and just all the things that come with it. But the most complete Note, I would have to say, is definitely the Note 9. Now, of course, this came out 2018. And of course, I absolutely love this device. 6.4-inch Quad HD Super AMOLED display, Gorilla Glass 5. Now you got the always-on display, which is something you didn't have on the Note 4. You got Face Unlock, which you didn't have on the Note 4. You got the iris sensor, which you can open up this with your eyes. I love that. LED notifications sensor, which you did not have on the Note 4. Rear fingerprint sensor, which is flawless. Works super fast. Oh, look like I can get ready to get another update. Must be security. Yeah, security. I'll do that later. Okay, which you did not. You got the one on the home button, which you had to slide down. This one, all you had to do was touch it, and it opened up the phone immediately. So you got the dual stereo speakers. Now, this is when Samsung made a big leap forward, because with the Note 4, you only had that small little mono speaker on the back. But with this one, you finally got dual stereo speakers through the earpiece and at the bottom, and they sound really, really great. They really do. All right. So also you had the heart monitor back here on the side right there, if you can see it. Same thing as the Note 4, which I love. You had the fast wireless charging, which wasn't super fast, but it would charge your phone in about an hour and 40 minutes from 0 to 100. You got fast wireless charging, which took about, if I'm not mistaken, about, I don't know, 2 hours and 40 minutes to charge your device, which wasn't the fastest, but it was fast back then. You had the one-handed mode, edge panels, edge lighting, secure folder, Samsung DeX, Samsung Pay, 4,000 milliamp battery, great build quality on this phone, expandable memory up to 500 gigs. This one is 500 gigs of internal storage. This is the one I got. Normally it started out with 128 gigs, but I wanted the 500 gigs because I use a lot of storage. So not only do I have a 500 gigs of internal storage, I put a 500 gig SD card in here as well. So love that. Okay. And you got NFC, Android 10 with One UI 2.5, AKG tuned headphones in the box. You got a headphone jack, which is at the bottom. You got 8 gigs of RAM, IP68 water and dust resistance, which you did not have with the Note 4. 8 gigs of RAM, Bluetooth 5.0, and you got the two 12 megapixel cameras. One is a 12 megapixel wide, the other is a 12 megapixel telephoto. You had 2x optical zoom, optical image stabilization, Shoots at 4K at 60 frames per second on the front and back, and 1080p at 30 and 60 frames per second on the front and back cameras. Of course, the S Pen now you push up, makes a click, and you pull it out. And as you can see, it looks very, very different than that of the Note 4. It's all one color, but it feels literally like a toy. I mean, I could easily break this in half with my thumb and my finger, easily. And it feels like a toy. It's not as thick, it's not as big, and I just don't like how light and flimsy they made it feel. I wish they would have stuck to the design of that of the Note 4. But of course they didn't. Of course, you see you got air actions and air gestures and all those things that came with this. And then this was the first Note phone to come with a Bluetooth S Pen. You could take pictures with the S Pen. You can control your media with the S Pen and things like that. You had the screen off memo, things like that, copy paste. You could do a lot of things with the S Pen. This was very, very much improved from that of the Note 4. So far as the most complete Note, it would definitely be the Note 9. Definitely. I absolutely love this device. Always will. So now you have my favorite Note device, which is the Note 10 Plus. Love this device. This is my favorite Note, period. 6.8-inch Quad HD Dynamic AMOLED Infinity O display, Gorilla Glass 6, 256 of internal storage to start with, expandable memory up to 1 terabyte. Now I'm only going to list the things that were improved that from the Note 4 and the Note 9. I'm only going to list the things that have been improved. So you're getting a larger screen at 6.8 inches, is definitely wider. You're getting Gorilla Glass 6. You're getting 256 of internal. The Note 4 started out with 32. And the Note 9 usually comes with 128, but I got the 500 gig one. 12 gigs of RAM. This is the most RAM they had ever put into a Note. A 4,300 milliamp battery. 25 and 45 watt super fast charging, which I love that because I use the 45 watt charger all the time. It charges this phone in less than an hour. Love that. You got 9 watt reverse wireless charging where you could, you could take some earbuds and you could charge them. You could charge a smartwatch. You could charge another phone. So I love that. You got dual stereo speakers on here, and the only reason why I'm mentioning those because they're much louder and have better depth of sound than that of the Note 9. Of course, you had the Snapdragon 855. You got the in-display ultrasonic fingerprint sensor, which is the first time Samsung had introduced a ultrasonic fingerprint sensor built into the screen. Now, the Note 9, it came on the rear. As you can see, this one is built into the display. It works very, very well. Some people don't like it, and I understand that. You got video enhancer, and of course, an improved S Pen. You got even more air gestures and things like that. Improvements that, they made to the S Pen, which they try to do every year. And of course, with the cameras, you got the 4 cameras on the rear. You got the 3 here, and then you got that 3D depth sensor. And of course, you got your camera on the front. And they all shoot at 4K at 60 frames per second on the front and back, and 1080p at 30 frames per second on the front and the back. So, and also let me share real quick with you when Samsung lost their mind and started going the opposite direction when it comes to the Note. Now, the things that are missing from the Note 10 Plus, still my favorite Note, but the things that are missing, which very much disturbed me when that phone was released. No IR blaster, which I know they didn't have it on the Note 9, but still, it's still missing. And keep in mind, this was a $1,100 phone. No IR blaster, no iris sensor, which is what the Note 9 had. And that's what I used pretty much all the time over the fingerprint sensor. I just hit this home button. It has a 3D home button that had a little bit of vibration, and it would activate the iris sensor, and it would just open up the phone with my eyes. I used it all the time. The no LED notification sensor, which they removed that. No heart rate monitor, which I used all the time. They removed that. No headphone jack, which I absolutely was very much disgusted that they took that away. And the only reason why I'm saying that is because the because the S10 and the S10 Plus both had headphone jacks, and they took the headphone jack away from the Note, which didn't make any sense. I would have been able to deal with it a little better if they did it with the Note 20, but not the Note 10, especially with the S series having a headphone jack. Why would you take the headphone jack away from the Note 10 Plus? Didn't make any sense to me. And they moved the power button from the right side to the left side of the phone, which pretty much everybody hated, especially right-handers. I know there are more right-handers than left-handers, but still, I just absolutely hated that they put the power button on the left instead of the right side. So those are all the changes that have been made to the Note. You know, you didn't have wireless charging on the Note 4. You didn't have an iris sensor. You know, you didn't have really IP68 water dust resistance. You didn't have a glass back. You know, things of that LED notification. Certain things you just didn't have with this, but this was still a great device until Lollipop messed it up and until it started lagging real bad. You know, but the Note 9, there was absolutely never any lag on this phone. One UI completely straightened that out. And you got a great display. You got great cameras. I mean, just great build quality. Headphone jack, iris sensor, LED. Like, you got everything on this phone. Everything except, like I said, the IR blaster and the wide angle lens. And then, of course, with the Note 10 Plus, they even took it to another level as far as the hardware. And it's a beautiful device. And they did make some improvements, but they took away things that a lot of Note users loved, especially that of the headphone jack. You know, there's a lot of people that will not upgrade to any other Notes because they don't want to give up that headphone jack. And I can't blame them. I really don't. Even though Samsung does give you a pair of AKG USB Type-C headphones for this phone, but still, people want that headphone jack. You know, there's people that miss the iris sensor. Okay, they missed that LED notification. They missed the heart rate monitor. Like, they miss these things. I know I do. But still, to this day, just performance and all the other things that come with this is still my favorite Note. But this one is definitely second, and this one is third. But I love them all. That's why I still have them. But I know, I feel, you know, everyone out there, if you feel the same way I feel with this Note 9, how just such a great device this is. And then the people that actually love this Note 10 with either one of these devices. But, you know, I love them both. I mean, I love them all, but this is unusable now because it has screen burn-in, and also the battery drains super, super fast, and also is very, very laggy. But these two, oh, easily. This stays in my pocket all the time, never comes out of my pocket. And this sometimes goes in as my secondary line, and I use this, the Note 9. So I love them all. These are my favorite all-time Note devices. At some point, I'm going to get my hands on the Note 20 Ultra. Why? Because I'm a Note guy. It's a bigger device, better cameras, you know, bigger battery. We'll see. But I'm waiting for that price to drop a whole lot more before I decide to get that. But thank you for taking the time to view this content. I do appreciate it. And I hope everybody out there is staying safe and staying well. And I'll check you guys out in the next one. Peace.